The following is an AZPM original production.
For AZPM, I'm Mark McLemore, and this is Arizona Spotlight. Coming up, understanding the intimate and meaningful images of older women that can be found in a photo collection by Jade Beall called The Crone Body. In this month's Storyteller segment, meet Simba, an asylum seeker from Burundi, who found he was welcomed in Tucson by a new community that valued his experience and self-reliance. And find out about Bad Art Night at the Arizona Science Center in Phoenix and what it has to offer those with creative curiosity. Those stories are all next on Arizona Spotlight. Tucson-based photographer Jade Beall is on a crusade for body acceptance and body liberation, often bringing into focus the most personal details of what it means to be a woman. Beall is no stranger to breaking Western cultural taboos, as demonstrated in her collection of portraits, The Crone Body. It features a multitude of nude and semi-nude photographs of women in color and black and white. Joining her in this interview is one of her models, Carmeline, who just turned 80 years old. Beall begins by describing how the images in the Crone Body came to be.
So this book was originally called Wise Bodies, Beautiful Elders. I was able to raise money to self-publish. And as I was putting it together, I came across this poem by Maya Luna called The Crone. And already I'd met a lot of resistance from folks that I was using the word elder, a lot of resistance. A lot of folks feel that that's a word that is belittling or demeaning. I see it in the way that it is used in West Africa, where I've spent a lot of time, like how it's used in Mexico. Elder is like this revered, gorgeous thing. I realized I wanted to use the word crone. I wanted to just focus more on women's stories. I asked Maya Luna if I could use her poem, and I couldn't believe it. She said yes. And again, crone is seen as this awful thing, witch, ugly, gross, which I think goes directly hand in hand with the reason why I wanted to make this book, because we see aging as this apology rather than something to be revered, at least in our culture. So when I read Maya Luna's poem, it was very much using all the words that we steer clear from in our culture. We're like, oh no, I'm young at heart. We praise youngness, and youngness is beautiful, but that is one season of being human. It's a beautiful season, but it's only one, if you're so lucky. So Maya Luna's poem is pretty out there. It offends people. It gets people thinking. It gets people talking. I love it. I weave it throughout the whole book with all these photos from all these different bodies. And everyone in the book is 60 years old or older.
Then I want to really ask Carmeline about how you first heard about the project and how is it that you decided to take part?
I learned about Jade about 7 or 8 years ago. At that time, and I don't remember how I saw the advertisement, she was looking for models for elder bodies. She wanted to take photos of elder bodies. My decision to contact her was on something very personal, not on the crone or becoming a crone or wanting to be a crone, but on something very personal. I wanted to find my true story, not the story I'd been telling myself and that I'd gone all my life with. And one of the things I told myself was that I was ugly, that my body was ugly. I decided that I needed to really look at my body, not through the eyes of my story, but through the eyes of reality, what it really is. I had been modeling for artists at the university here, at the College of Fine Art. And when I saw Jade's ad, I knew that she would be looking at me through the eyes of an artist. She would be looking at me through the eyes of truth. She would not be looking at me through the eyes of my story. And all I had to do was take my clothes off. That's all I had to do. And I would learn who I was through my body, through the eye of her camera.
And how would you describe the reflection that you saw?
Oh, a work of art. And Mark, more than that, how I would describe it is the relationship between Jade and me and the camera is what created that work of art because of the truth. There was no filter there.
What is something that Jade did to put you at ease or to make you feel like you were in the right place?
She called me sweetie. I mean, it absolutely brings tears to my eyes. She would tell me to hold that for a second, move over here. Okay, sweetie, let's do this. Okay, sweetie, let's do that. She spoke to me endearingly. That love in that moment liberated me all the more and assured me that I had made the right decision in being there.
Jade, when we were corresponding about this interview, I referred to your guests as your subjects, and you called them your muses.
Mm-hmm.
In response to what Carmeline just said, what is important to you in building a rapport with your muses, and how do you go about letting them be themselves?
The matter of the fact is Carmeline arrived to my door in a way that 99.9% of folks do not arrive. She was ready. She told me, one of the first things she said was, Jade, wait until you see this body. And I was like, yeah, mama, I cannot wait. So get in here, honey. I photographed now millions of photos, and that is the only time someone has said that. And I knew right then, I was like, oh, Carmeline, we're going to do some healing. And we have. The photos I took of her have been seen by millions and millions of people. I have received thousands of messages about Carmeline because it's an energy. It's an energy. And it's this unapologetic, here I am, and we're calling it beautiful. And this is my story.
Jade, what has your experience been in hearing back from the loved ones and the people who matter in your muses' lives about this kind of photography?
Oh, that's a good question, Mark. That's complex. So the most feedback I get that is negative is from strangers, that, I don't want to see this. What is this? And especially I get real vulnerable with my own stories and self-portraits and jiggling my fat around, dancing out in the desert half naked. I challenge people's stigma a lot. And I know what I'm doing. I know that when I say, hey, I'm a fat chick dancing in the desert, that folks would be like, no, wait a minute. You're not allowed out of the box. This box says that only so-and-so gets to be beautiful and celebrated. And how dare you go outside of the box and say that you're happy?
Isn't it crazy that stigma, the thing that keeps people down and that hurts them most deeply, is sometimes the thing that they want to defend the most?
There.
Like, don't take my stigma from me.
Yes, Mark. Yes. Don't take my stigma from me.
Okay.
You just gave me goosebumps. Yes. Yep.
So you get emails and you get people who are basically protesting your work.
Yeah.
What's your best strategy for dealing with that?
Compassion. I get it. How dare I say that there's no scarcity of beauty? How dare I say that we all get to feel good in these bodies when so many people suffer? I don't know. I've never met anyone who doesn't suffer. So I know that what they're saying is just they're projecting their own suffering. It's hard to find joy in these bodies. It's really hard. All of us have some sort of stigma, some more than others, obviously, but you can allow them their voice. Let it be. It's okay they feel that way. I'm not going to give it too much energy, though. When it's a partner with a client or a muse, it's not my business, right? But I also like to remind my muse that it's normal and it's okay. We don't have to meet them with anger, that there's something in there that gets to be met. Maybe there's a conversation. Maybe they want to come to the shoot. The partner, who's usually male, doesn't want to come, doesn't want anything to do with it, and it's the women who are searching for this, like Carmeline said, a new story. My photo shoots don't heal you of body shame and body insecurity, but it is part of a journey. And a lot of times my partner's like, no, I don't want anything to do with that. And Mark, I'd say about 90% of those people end up naked, taking photos. They didn't know. They don't know me. They don't know what I stand for, and it's okay. But once they come into the space, they're like, oh, this is actually fun. This feels good. Most people like to see their partner celebrated. It makes them feel in love.
Carmeline, in closing for this interview, can you reflect on any of the things that Jade just said? Would you like to share your perspective or perhaps your story about the people in your life reacting to your choice?
Before I modeled, I was having a massage, and it so happened that the man who was giving me the massage was also an artist. And he asked me, he said, "Have you ever modeled?" And I said, "What do you mean modeled?" And he told me, he says, "I'm an artist, and you would be really fun to draw." Boy, that really captured me, the way he put that. I got off the massage table, got dressed, went back to my hotel room, and told my husband, who at the time had Parkinson's disease, and he said, "Oh, I used to do that when I was in college. It's a great way to make a living. And you are a happy exhibitionist. I think it's a great job for you." That's how it happened in my life. But the thing about what Jade just said that is, to me, so important is the way she responds to people who are critical. She responds with compassion, which is exactly the way she responds to whoever is ashamed of their naked body, which is exactly the way we overcome when someone gives us the space to be who we are and what we need to be. The picture that is of me in this book, Jade gifted to me in a large size, and my current husband picked out a frame for that picture, which was close to $500. That's what he thinks about his wife being naked in front of a camera.
And where do you put it, Carmeline?
And it's right in the entry hall to our house. So it's kind of like when you walk in the door.
That's what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking about.
There's a naked woman there. She lives here.
Thank you to Jade and Carmeline for sharing their insights. Photographer Jade Beall's book is called The Crone Body. Information is available at jadebeall.com. There's something powerful about a single voice sharing a true story. It gives a chance for the storyteller to let their personality shine and forge new connections with anyone who listens. In support of this important community tradition, Spotlight is featuring a different storyteller on the third Thursday of every month. Here's Tony Paniagua with an introduction.
Thank you, Mark. Our storyteller this month is Simba Rusita. He is originally from Burundi, a small landlocked country in East Central Africa that has been facing ethnic conflict and other challenges for many years. Rusita came to Tucson as a refugee, and he's now helping other immigrants as a board member with Iskashita Refugee Network. Before we hear from him, we are joined by Dr. Barbara Eisworth, the founder and executive director of the network, which she established in 2003. Dr. Barbara Eisworth, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Can you tell us what led to the establishment of this organization that has now been around for more than 2 decades?
I was traveling back and forth from Malawi, Africa to Tucson, and often in a village where they're experiencing a hunger period, sometimes year after year. And when I came back to Tucson, something strikingly uncomfortable for me was to see figs and pomegranates and lemons and grapefruit falling on the ground and no one paying attention to that. And then I had this aha moment, and it was 111 degrees and delivering one crate of fruit to Casa Maria Soup Kitchen. And I saw this plethora of people for a whole city block having their only hot meal of the day. And I thought, I can be the solution. I can connect the abundant, untapped resources in all over the city of Tucson, as far as Vail and other counties now we've harvested and distribute to. I thought I could be that solution to connect the resources to families that could really benefit by these food resources that were otherwise going to waste and going into the landfill. So meeting up with UN refugees, first group was the Somali Bantu, and that's where we get our name. They named it Iskashita, meaning working cooperatively together. From then on, we have been stuttering over that name, but I still love the meaning because after 22 years nearly, it takes a lot of hands to make this light work, but very important to use that fundamental common denominator of food as a way to bridge cultures, bridge lives, and experience some healing.
And how does it work? What is the philosophy or what is the process between what you do?
So we're really dealing with two challenges. One, the overall lack of fresh local produce accessible to 1 in 4 people in Pima County. And two, the social isolation that all immigrants face, but in particular refugees and asylum seekers that have been through war, genocide, and persecution. We harvest from people's backyards, educational gardens, orchards, and farms. We rescue food, some from the border, some from stores, through our partner agencies like Market on the Move and Gap Ministries, and volunteering together, refugee next to caring volunteer. And we harvest between 75 and 100, up to 150,000 pounds in our big years, and then another 20,000 pounds of fruit, vegetables, herbs, edible weeds, and learning what the foods are and the different parts of the plant that other cultures take advantage of that we don't know about. Now we have a new campus at the St. Mark's Presbyterian Church. That's where we're gardening and we're growing our own, but also using that as our educational platform.
What has kept you going? What keeps that energy, that enthusiasm afloat?
Changing lives and easing the pain of that transition and healing that needs to happen, and giving communities a sense of place, a place to gather, is critical. And community integration is the only way forward for happy, healthy lives, in my opinion. We're so proud to have the refugees and asylum seekers that I've worked with are making our community stronger, more diverse, but bringing their strengths from so many different places and expertise. So I think we're stronger, and we ease that path to citizenship.
Dr. Barbara Eisworth, she is the Executive Director and founder of Iskashita Refugee Network. Thank you very much for joining us. And we have with you a special guest. He is this month's storyteller. What would you like to say about him before he begins his story?
It's a pleasure to introduce Simba Rosita, originally from Burundi in Central East Africa. He came to Iskashita a little over 2 years ago as an asylum seeker and is well on his way to a path to citizenship. Simba has given to the community, and it's just been a joy to get to know him and learn from him. And we're just so proud of what he's been able to do in the 2 years that he's been here, and can't wait to see what his future holds.
My name is Simba Rusita, and I am an asylum seeker from Burundi, a small yet beautiful country in Central East Africa. Burundi is so small that it's the size of Pima County. And while it is known for its first-class coffee, lush mountains, and stunning lake Tanganyika, which happens to be the second deepest lake in the world. Regardless of all these beautiful things about my country, we are the poorest nation in the world. Burundi has been plagued by civil wars for the last 50 years, and today it stands as a failed state due to corruption and poor leadership. Throughout those wars, I've lost many family members, including my wonderful grandfather, who was killed in plain daylight. Freedom of expression is non-existent in my country. All the press is controlled and censored by the government. There is freedom of expression or press as long as you say what the government wants you to say. 2 years ago, I fled these harsh conditions and sought asylum in the United States. When I arrived in Tucson, I found a new family in the Iskashita Refugee Network. I began volunteering with them, harvesting a variety of fruits like figs, olives, lemons, grapefruits, oranges, dates, and my favorite, prickly pears. I never knew that there was anything that grew in the desert. I didn't know that a cactus would bear such a wonderful fruit. I love prickly pears jam. When we harvest these fruits, we distribute them to refugees and local food banks, ensuring that nothing goes to waste. And that's why I love Iskashita. Over time, I was invited to join the board, and now I serve proudly as the vice chair of Iskashita Board of Directors. My goal is to improve the lives of refugees and asylum seekers by helping them navigating their new environment and access resources and integrate into the American society. Coming here as a new immigrant, especially coming from Africa, it is a daunting task. And that's why I've picked up that task to help my fellow refugees and asylum seekers coming from the outside and wanting to integrate into America. It is unfortunate that the narrative out there for immigrants paint us in a very bad light from the American media. So that's why I aim to change the narrative of immigrants that are here. Instead of people thinking that we've come to take resources, but we've come to contribute to this wonderful country. We have come to bring a wealth of culture, intellectual capital, and human resources to the table. I'm very, very much excited to be here. I consider myself very fortunate to be in this great nation that has offered me refuge, peace, and actually opportunities to better myself. Although I've left my family back home, I long to see them soon. And I know with the help of the many friends and the families that have come to gather, such as Iskashita and others, that this dream will come to pass. I have no doubt that I'm in the right country. I have no doubt that I'm in the right environment for me to see all my dreams come to pass.
In addition to Burundi and the United States, Simba Rusita has also lived in Uganda and England, where he earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Construction Management and International Business from the University of London. His sister and their mother live in England, and Rusita also has 5 children who live with their mother in Burundi. Rusita hopes to bring them to the United States in the near future. He loves to share food and conversations with people and looks forward to doing that with his family as soon as possible. For Arizona Spotlight, I'm Tony Paniagua.
As someone who cares deeply about aesthetics, if you ask me, the world has always had too much bad art. Our planet is awash with it, and the dawn of AI is creating bad art at an exponential rate. But my next guest reminds me that all art is subjective, and sometimes people should be encouraged to play with art, regardless of aesthetics, to connect with their inner creativity and possibly begin the journey to creating a masterpiece. That's what the Arizona Science Center's upcoming Bad Art Night is all about.
My name is Lauren Poole, and I'm the Senior Manager of Science Experiences at Arizona Science Center. You know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, so it may be bad to one person, but beautiful to someone else. We really want folks to just come in and tap into that creative side without any feelings that they're not an artist, right? Maybe they want to try out art for the first time, but they're afraid that they're going to be bad. So we're giving them that place to try new things.
Is there any kind of judging going to be happening? Is there a contest of any sort?
There's no contest and no judging. We really like to keep it judgment-free, and we really just want to create a place of community for folks to come together and create and to make. So we have so many fun things that we set out. We buy a lot of our materials secondhand, so that way we're really focusing on that upcycle aspect, right? But we do provide them with canvas, and that can be a traditional canvas. We hand out blocks of wood that you can use for a canvas. We cut up old poster boards that can also be a canvas. We give you paintbrushes, paint, and then there is a giant table with almost anything that you could think of on it. So there's feathers to googly eyes, to glass beads, to different colored tape. I would say anything you can imagine, but we really like to put out the silliest things so that you can really tap into your most creative self.
Is there any advice that you would give the listeners to what they might bring with them in their heart or their mind to this event?
I suggest that people bring that sense of curiosity and wonder. If you were ever considering being an artist, or if you just don't want to make the mess at home, right? I have a 5-year-old, and, finger painting is a big thing, but do I want to do finger painting in my living room on my white rug? I don't think so. So I would bring your messiest child and all of the curiosity.
So it's a safe space for a mess.
It is a very safe space for a mess. We have all of the fixings. We got towels. We got paper that we cover the tables. So you bring the mess to us and we'll clean it up for you.
I think I'm understanding things better now from my perspective about thinking that there's already enough bad art in the world. You're not really asking people to try to make something ugly or unattractive. You're just giving them the freedom and the space to see what happens. So, Lauren, some people listening might think to themselves, I don't understand how this would fit in with the mission of the Arizona Science Center. What would you say?
I would say we are that A in STEAM. Without art, you wouldn't have science. Without science, you wouldn't have art. You have to be creative to be an engineer. All of that is designing. All of that is making. All of that is really tapping in to that left side of your brain that, showcases all of the wonderment that can happen when you begin to create in the world, whether that be building a building, cooking food. Everything has science in it, and everything has art in it. They really go together really well.
Thanks to Lauren Poole, Senior Manager of Science Experiences at Arizona Science Center, which is located at 600 East Washington Street in Phoenix. Their next family-friendly Bad Art Night is Friday, October 25th from 5 to 8 p.m. Thank you for listening to Arizona Spotlight. This show is a production of AZPM. The production engineer is Jim Blackwood. Production assistance by Sophia Hammer. I'm producer and host Mark McLemore.
AZPM podcasts are made possible in part by donations from listeners like you. Learn more at support.azpm.org. Thank you.